everyone. How are you doing today? Um, so as you see, I have a guest here to talk, and I guess you have seen the title. She wants to share her story of growing up in a home that was. Hold on, just a second. I'm so sorry. I always do that too. Um, she wants to share her story about growing up with a parent that had mental illness and dealing with it as a child. So, my dear tattoos and this is Tattoos and Unicorns, by the way, if you guys didn't know. And I'm just going to let you have the floor. Um, yeah.
Okay. My heart is racing.
Oh, you're okay. We're all friends here.
So, yeah, my main reason for wanting to do this, I think will be since finding your channel and watching everybody share their story. It looked very like empowering and healing, and it spreads awareness. And I know there's not a lot of, or that I could find anyways, a lot of awareness of the trauma growing up with mentally ill parents. Thankfully, my dad was not. He was my rock and still is today. But unfortunately, my mother was and is very mentally ill. She didn't get a diagnosis until I was a teenager. At that time, she was diagnosed with bipolar type 1. But she since developed psychotic features, so she's now diagnosed schizoaffective disorder, which for anybody who doesn't know, it's a combination of schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. So she does hear voices and hallucinates. She gets delusional. But as a child, she was very emotionally abusive. Nothing was ever good enough. I probably share a similar childhood to anybody who grew up with like a narcissistic perfectionist, the whole shebang. Like I didn't hold my spoon right, I didn't brush my teeth right, I didn't clean my room right, my homework was never good enough, like the whole shebang. It did get a little physical, not typically more than anybody who grew up in the 80s or 90s. I mean, the slap here or there was kind of common. Unfortunately, I never ever experienced any sexual abuse or anything, but the trauma from the constant criticism, she was very explosive. So from minute to minute, you didn't really know what kind of mood she was going to be in, especially with the bipolar. It could go from 0 to 60 very fast. So I grew up walking on eggshells. She left a lot. The first time she left, I don't remember it. I was very young. My first memory of her leaving, I was about 5, and I remember her and my father sitting down to tell me that they were separating. They were trying to explain it to a 5-year-old, and that was my first memory of knowing something wasn't right because of the relief I felt as a 5-year-old knowing my mother was leaving. Usually that would be a grieving time for a child, but I felt like the world was lifted from my shoulders. But she came back, and she'd done that several times. Unfortunately, my father like would be considered an enabler, but he kind of done what he thought was right to protect me, because he was told by a psychologist that if he left, more than likely, like, the mother would gain custody. So he was afraid if he left with me that he would lose me to her, and then he wouldn't be around to kind of protect me. So I mean, that continued for a long time. Like, we moved often because my mother would all of a sudden say, "This house is not good enough. I want a new one." So, like, my father actually built the house. We lived in it for a year, and then she said, "No, I wanna leave where we are." So I'm in Canada, so we're provinces as opposed to states. So we moved to a different province, thinking that was what she wanted, but that wasn't it. So in 3 weeks we moved back. So while we were there, I'd started kindergarten, and no friends, nobody. It was very traumatizing as that young of a child. And uh, before I even got a chance to get settled, we came back, and then we had to live with my grandparents until we found somewhere, and it continued. Um, we bought a house, moved in. It wasn't good, so I mean, we moved again, but it was just constant chaos. Um, Her family are all very, like, chaotic, so there was a lot of shouting, yelling, just craziness all the time. Like, I remember even, I don't know, there was an argument between her and her sister's husband showed up at my house. I was probably 8 or 9 at the time. I remember, like, a shotgun being involved. Um, no shots fired, thank God, but to scare him away from our home, because I mean, he was coming, and he was a very violent man too. Um, just, yeah, chaos. Um, I remember my mother telling me I wasn't allowed to listen to the radio because there was subliminal messages. Like, those were my first memories of her delusions, but they didn't come often. It was more the bipolar mood swings, and when she would get into a depression, she would threaten suicide. Um, she would attempt. She made a few small attempts while I was a child, but as I got into my uh, teenage years, the attempts got more aggressive, and I mean, she was hospitalized off and on. She had numerous ECTs, where she would be admitted to have anywhere from 15 to 20 ECTs, or like shock treatments. And I mean, that affects, like, a person's mind, along with several different antidepressants. She went through one after another. Nothing would work. She was on lithium. That didn't work. So she was also a drinker, but the drinking didn't get heavy until my teenage years. So after these years and years of the, like, drinking medications, like psychiatric medications, ECTs, all of that, she really just declined over the years, and it got bad. And it got to the point where I remember I want to say 2010. At this point, her and my father finally separated. I was old enough that he didn't have to worry about me anymore, so they finally parted ways for good. And she moved to a different city, fell in with some not so good people, got into some bad drugs, heavy drinking. I totally cut contact off with her at that time as well for my own mental health, because I was still struggling like with fear, and I still do to this day, even like with therapy, my own medication. But I fear her. She just has this hold over my mind, and I guess like because it was a lifetime, I don't know what it's like to not fear her. So for my own mental health, I did cut contact with her for a couple of years. And then in 2010, she made a major suicide attempt where she overdosed intentionally and ended up in life support and ICU. So I got a lot of phone calls from her family, and they encouraged me to go see her and like whatever. So I kind of, the guilt started, and I went and seen her. I mean, she didn't know I was there. She was still on life support, but once she recovered and was discharged from the hospital, I guess I kind of let her back into my life. And like it was hell. My depression like really got out of control. By this time I had my own children. Actually, I got pregnant at 16, which was difficult. She tried to force me to have an abortion, and I refused, because not that I would criticize anybody who got an abortion, especially at 16, because I mean, I was in no shape or form to raise a child, but I was the one that was going to have to live with that. And like, I don't think I would have been able to do it. So I refused, and she kicked me out of her house. So I went and I spent my pregnancy with my boyfriend, which I only met his parents when we showed up to ask if like I could live with them. It was hard, and like I'm a shy person and a private person, so that like took a big toll on me. After my first son was born, she did accept me back in, but again, like the chaos and everything continued. I eventually moved out when I was 18, and then that story continued. My parents separated later on, and we're up to the first major suicide attempt. When I let her back into my life, she was worse than ever. Sometimes she, like when she was manic, I almost preferred her manic because she was a lot nicer. But she still had that control over me. So at this time now, I'm married with my own kids, and she's coming into my house like thinking that she can just take absolute control. So I kept trying to tell, like, there's no boundaries with her. You can't set boundaries. She won't take no for an answer, that type of thing. And of course, with the mind control that she already had over me, I would never say no to her anyway, because I was too afraid to say no. So I pushed myself to extremely uncomfortable limits just to like keep her happy. Then once the like psychotic symptoms really started, like I remember her telling me there was people breaking into her apartment. I mean, at first she was kind of convincing, and I live in an island in Canada, a very small island. Like, our crime limit is very low. She did have me convinced, but at the same time, I'm like, who would be breaking into your apartment? But then she started telling me that people were spying on her with laser cameras that like could see through the walls and stuff like that. Like that really freaked me out. It was difficult to deal with. I remember one night she insisted on sleeping over to my house, so of course I did, even though I was very uncomfortable with it. And once I was asleep, it was about probably 12 o'clock in the night, and I woke up to her on her hands and knees on my bed saying, "Oh my God, the cameras are here. Like, someone is watching me here with the cameras." Like, so, and there was no telling her that, like, it wasn't real. She, like, wouldn't hear of it. So, of course, and I even contacted her psychiatrist, and he said, "Well, there's nothing I can do unless she tells me about it," which I understood, but at the same time, I was kind of like, she's really spiraling. So then she decided she was going to move away, and she moved to a different province to live with her sister, and then she didn't like that, so she came back, and then she had her second major suicide attempt where she ended up in ICU in the hospital here in this, like, my hometown. I'm life support for a week, and I work in the hospital. Like, I'm an LPN, so like that's my job is in that hospital. So that was difficult because I kind of felt like my dirty laundry was being aired at work. Um, Once she did recover and was discharged, and that was in 2017, and this has happened at least 3 times since, where she ended up in ICU on life support, and she's also had like many hospitalizations to our psychiatric unit here. In January, she got really upset with me over a petty reason. So I decided again, for my mental health, I needed to cut ties. Like, I went to very dark places since 2017 when she was here and had that attempt, and then every attempt since, and all the hospitalizations. Like, it got to the point where like the suicidal thoughts were so overwhelming that I couldn't do it because my family needs me. So I get a lot of grief from her family. They blame a lot of her behavior on me now. They think these suicide attempts are my fault. So I mean, I've had to cut almost all of them out of my life at this point because I can't handle the harassment. I've had to get rid of my Facebook and Instagram accounts because, well, they'll contact me through there, and if I block them, they'll make new. They're like worse than YouTube trolls. Like, it's not good. So yeah, that's where I am today. I'm still trying to heal. I've come a long way since the person I once was, but I definitely have a long way to go. And I just hope, like, one day I'll get there. It's hard.
Well, just sharing your story is it's healing in itself. You know, I'm sure that there's lots and lots of people out there that have struggled with parents that have
Definitely.
mental issues, and um, opening that door is sort of a freedom, because people do need to hear that there's other people out there that are struggling with the same thing.
Yeah.
Um, I know that, Empress Neuro, um, her mother was the same way. Um, um, but she said in the chat that she preferred her mother when she was in depression because she didn't. Let me scroll back up. Um, she said she liked it when her mother was depressed. Then she was asleep. When her mother was manic, she terrorized her dad.
Oh, okay. I found when my mother was more depressed, she was very, and I mean, she had her irritability when she was manic too, but when she was manic, she was usually gone away somewhere. Like she was barely ever home because she was drinking and stuff. But when she was depressed, the irritability, she would get very angry. She would sleep a lot, but when she was sleeping, like, you tiptoed because you were frightened to death to wake her up. And she did terrorize my dad a lot. She and he's so quiet. Like, my dad is my best friend. And like the things that she would say to him and just put him down, and like it was like a knife to listen to, a knife in my heart. And that often happened during her depression because she was home.
Right. And I'm popping some comments up here. Everybody's sending you love, and just
Thank
letting
you.
you know that they love you and they think you're a strong woman. It takes courage to speak, and I'm so privileged that you chose my channel to speak on. But you're definitely loved here. You are welcome here anytime you want.
Thank you.
Um, see here. Um, B said, my mom put me through a lot of physical and mental problems. I hate to say this, but I didn't get better till she passed away. I still loved her, though, and I miss her. I mean, it's very, very hard. I would, like, I've not been put in that situation, so I'm not trying to put words in your mouth.
Oh
I
no,
couldn't
that's fine.
imagine. I
Well,
couldn't imagine.
to be 100% honest, I don't think that fear and control is going to go away until either
Right.
she's gone or I'm gone. And like, that's a hard pill to swallow.
Oh, I'd say so. Man, I my mother was my best friend. She's the one that I run to. My dad was a strong, silent type, so he was pretty much, he was always at work, and when he wasn't at work, he was sleeping, or working on his race car. So I don't really. I mean, I can't relate. I can't. You
No,
know.
no, yeah,
I mean, my grandmother, she was a bit different. I mean,
yeah,
but I didn't live with her. She wasn't
right,
in our
yeah,
family. It was just somebody she was just someone we visited once a year for a week. So,
yeah,
and she was always on her best behavior at that time. So I don't
yeah.
really, I can't say that I relate, but I'm glad that you shared your story. It is brave. You're very brave for sharing your story, and I see that your emotions are right there.
Oh, they always are.
If I could give you a hug, I would definitely give you a hug. But like, Little Dove says, it's healing, and thanks for blessing us with your story. Yes, we do, unicorns. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome. I like to spread awareness too, and like the
Yes,
trauma, that emotional. abuse can cause. Because, like I said, I wasn't really beaten. I mean, I'm very fortunate to have never experienced sexual abuse, but the trauma of emotional abuse is real.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so she wants me to give you her phone number. I'll do that in back chat.
Okay.
It's Empress Neuro. She could, read her. Can you see her comment at the bottom?
Yeah. Okay. I appreciate that.
So I'll definitely do that right now. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm just trying to put the comments on so that you can see them. I know that it's a bit tiny over to the side right there. But everybody in here is just showing you love and, sending you big hugs and everything. I am going to, let me get her number so I can put it in the back chat, okay?
Okay.
And then I'll show you how to navigate to the back chat. It should say private chat up at the top. Sorry guys, I want to do what Empress Neuro has asked me to do real quick. I think it's important if people have similar stories that they're able to connect.
Oh, definitely. Like.
All right. So it's in the back chat for you. It should say private chat up at the top.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Empress Neuro. Thank you for doing that. Because like I said, for me personally, I can't relate to your story. I mean, I feel your emotions. I've been told I'm an empath, so I do definitely feel other people's emotions on a higher level. I absolutely would. If you were here in person, you would be getting a great big hug. Yes, checking said, be strong on your path. You will heal and be able to move on to your happiness soon.
Thank you.
Yes, Empress Neuro said no one has been able to find her mother since 2016.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, she's talked to me a little bit about that. That's her story to tell. So,
Yeah.
If you guys connect or whatever, I'm sure you guys will connect on a deeper level, So,
absolutely.
Does Tattoos and Unicorns have a channel?
I don't have a channel. This is my first time you took my virginity. I've never been on a video on the internet before, so yeah, no, I don't have a channel.
Well, well, the honor is all mine. Absolutely, awareness does need to be spread about parents with mental illness and what children actually go through.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a. They love, but they love in a different way, and I mean, like I said, I honestly can't sit here and say that I can relate, because I can't. I never seen that side of my grandmother.
Yeah.
But my mother did. So, it was just one of those things. She was bound and determined that we were not going to see that side of any of it. So
no, and that's common. They're very manipulative, and while people knew my mother to an extent, I mean, nobody really knew what happened behind closed doors until I could start to talk. I mean,
right.
even a lot of times, my father would be working. I mean, he was the only one in the household who worked when I was younger, and I mean, he worked a couple of jobs because her spending habits were poor. I mean, like, we made decent money for that time period, but she spent like we were millionaires, which I mean is a very common symptom of somebody under mania.
Right.
And I mean, she freely gave money away, and so I was alone with my mom a lot, and they can hide things. They can put on a different face in front of other people. I get that.
Yes, and my grandma did for that week. I mean, we were only up there for a week. I mean, and when she came down here, she stayed quite a while, but I mean, from the stories my mother told, she was just like that when they were growing up. So
Yeah.
like I said, I never seen it. It wasn't something that I seen.
No.
So
Yeah.
I can't talk on that. So I'm glad that you're here and that you're telling your story.
Well, I really appreciate you having me, and I hope even if I helped one person, this was
Absolutely.
worth it. Yeah. All right.
Absolutely. So all right, checking. Does anybody have any questions? Or do you feel like taking any questions?
Sure. Yeah, I definitely can.
I know checking had to go and run and fix supper, so. Okay. I had to put my best friend of over 30 years in a mental hospital. I couldn't even imagine being my mom or dad. I'm so sorry. Just know you have lived through it and can overcome any storm.
Thank you.
And Toaster Oven asked how old you are now.
I am 38. Will be 39 this year.
All right. Yes, the real rant room. I did. Actually, I didn't do my hair. Rabbit did my hair. She turned it all pink for me so that I wasn't a big old blobby mess. So thank you, Rabbit. um, and Frankie Hopkins said, "I love your tats," or "I love the tats."
Oh, thank you. I'll try to show them. I'm very proud of them, so I don't mind showing them. Let me turn on this light. You wouldn't believe how long I sat here wondering, should I have light? No light. Is this okay? Is that okay? But it started with this one. It's just kind of like a lacy, flowery type thing. And then I added this for me and my two boys.
That's
On
beautiful.
swing. This is like a lace math. It's very kind of gothic themed.
Right.
So this is a horse.
Wow, that's pretty.
And then this kind of represents the happy face I have to put on every day to leave my house. And then I have another horse over here. Yeah.
Wow, they're beautiful. They're beautiful.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Empress. I know that I feel emotions very strongly. I didn't have to ask who did your hair. Yes, yes. Rabbit actually helped me with my hair. It's just too long for me to do by myself anymore. Um, is that your artwork in the background?
Those are diamond paintings. I
Oh, wow.
since I've been off work and sick leave, I kind of picked up the hobby, and
Those are
yeah, just
beautiful.
kind of started sticking them to my wall.
Well, they're beautiful. Absolutely. Show off your
Thanks.
talent. No, no. My hair is pinker. I actually did dye the rest of my hair pink instead of just leaving it that Kool-Aid color pink that I had it. So, um, yes, you just email me a time, the Real Rant Room, and I'll be there. Yeah. So everybody's just showing you love. Charlotte Ann said in therapy we call them grounding reminders. Oh, maybe the tattoos.
Perhaps, but yeah, I definitely understand grounding during a panic. It's good
Right.
to be able to ground yourself, yeah, and bring yourself back out of that.
Yes, Charlotte Ann said the tattoos.
Oh yes, tattoos are very therapeutic for me. Yeah,
Yeah, me too. But I like pain, so yeah, it's either piercings or tattoos. So
yeah, I like piercings too. I have a couple, but tattoos are my favorite. You're welcome, little dove. I'm glad that I could relate to somebody.
well, guys, I know that this is a bit of a short one, but I think um, we are going to call it a night. As I always do, I usually just do a real quick roll call. I have been chatting or saying hello as people come in the room. So, guys, if I miss your name, it's not on purpose. It's just because I'm only going back so far to do roll call. White Rabbit B, thank you for being here. Vanilla Hudson, thank you for being here. Lucia Williams, Marge, Kim Maple Syrup, Empress Neuro, Checking Convictions, The Real Rant Room. Um, I was about to say my name. Little Dove, thank you for being here. Lucia Williamson, thank you for being here. Charlotte Ann, thank you for being here. Toaster Oven, thank you for being here. Frankie Hopkins, thank you for being here. Music City Mom 2, thank you for being here. Yeah. Stitching, Bitching, and True Crime, thank you for being here. Guys, Grady Boots, thank you for being here. We are getting ready to just go ahead and end this live. I I know she's still a bit, the nerves, the nerves, So we're gonna end this one here. She did share her story. If you want to catch the replay, that'll be cool. But like I always tell you guys at the end of my lives, reach out to someone you haven't talked to in a while, whether that be a friend or Data Signs. Thank you for being here. Reach out to a friend that you haven't talked to in a while. Let them know you still care. And the other thing I say is, right, smile at a stranger. They'll either think you're crazy or they'll smile back at you. To me, that's a win-win. Y'all, thank you so much for coming
Yes,
to this live and showing love to Tattoos and Unicorns.
thank you
Y'all
all
have a
for
great day.
listening.
If you wouldn't mind, subscribe and hit that bell notification so that you're notified anytime I upload a video or I go live. I might surprise you one day. Y'all have a good evening. Bye.
Bye.